Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank to Associate Professor Muhammad Rifani Bustami who gave me opportunity to present uh, actually my thesis, but this focus on the methodology, especially retroductive research strategy. Uh, In my presentation, I would like to present a retrospective research strategy, applying it in the study of higher education institution. Actually, my thesis title is the transformation of Muhammadiyah education in post-reformation Indonesia from 18, 1880 1898 2018 comparative study of two Muhammadiyah universities. Uh, in my research methodology, I present that my study employ retroductive research strategy as logic of inquiry. The fundamental problem of retroductive research strategy is how to arrive at the structure and mechanism that are postulated to explain observer regularities. The research strategy adopts depth realist ontology, which is the three domain of reality, namely empirical, actual, and real, that is used to epistemology of neorealism or mix of neorealism and constructivism. The logic of retroduction refers to the process of building hypothetical models of structures and mechanisms that are assumed generates social phenomena. So this study is going to explain structure of the structure and underlying mechanism that causes of the transformation of Muhammadiyah universities in Indonesia. Before going to discuss about the research methodology, especially the retroductive research strategy, we can see the map of research strategies. They are the logic of the four research strategies referred to the Blakey. First one is inductive, second one deductive, third one retroductive, and the last one is abductive. In the context, we can see what are the differences retroductive with all the research strategies. In this table, we can see that retroductive the aims to discover underlying mechanism to explain observed regularities. It could be different with the abductive, for example. If abductive is to describe and understand social life in terms of social action, motive, and understanding. Ontology, retroductive, adopt depth and subtle realism. And then epistemology of retroductive is modified neorealism or combination with constructivism. How to begin the research strategy in the applied research, for example. In this table, we can see that retroductive strategy start by using the document or model regularity, and then construct hypothetical model of a mechanism, and then describe the context and possible mechanism. Oh, sorry. And how to finish? It means that the research strategy help the researcher to answer the research question. To finish is establish which mechanism provide the best explanation in that context. It means that the research, the research strategy help the researcher to answer the research question by establish which mechanism they can explain the event that's studied by the researcher. Okay, this we can see the four logics of the four research strategies and the position of the retroductive research strategy among three research strategies. Research strategy. Okay. After we see the table of the logic of four research strategy, then we discuss about the retroductive strategy. What is retroductive research strategy actually? Retroductive strategy has the aim to discover underlying mechanism that in particular context explain inequalities. The logic of retroduction refers to process of building hypothetical methods of structure and mechanism that are assumed to produce empirical phenomena. It involves working back from data to a possible explanation. So when we are conducting retroductive research strategy, we will not only collect the data, but also, yeah, in the process, we can back to the first step. In the middle step, even we reevaluate our data. Reproductive research strategy involves the building of hypothetical model as a way of uncovering the real structure and mechanism which are assumed to produce empirical phenomena. The model, if it were to exist and act in the postulate way, will therefore account for the phenomena in question. A phenomena or a range of phenomena is identified. Explanation based on the postulate existence of generative mechanism are constructed and empirical tested in this mechanism then become a phenomenon to be explained and the cycle repeats. Refer to the ontological perspective, the research strategy has the assumption of the realities. Based on the critical realities, there are three realities. The first one is the real. Second one is actual, and third one empirical. We can see that mechanism, event, and experiences all in the real reality, but the mechanism not emerge in the reality of the actual, and the empirical reality only exists the experiences. So we can see in the below graph that the observation So the researcher should uncover what are the generative mechanisms that exist in actual and real domain. The next, this is uh, uh, this is what the sayer offer us how to conduct a retroductive research strategy. Like I presented before, that there are three reality: real, actual, and the empirical. And we can see that the S, it means the structure, and the M is the mechanisms, and the last one is the event. The event is exists in the empirical, and then mechanism is in the actual reality, and the structure in the real structure. So the retroductive research strategy has the purpose. We can see that there's the node, the intensive research, how to uncover the relation between structure, mechanism, and event. Interaction in this interaction among the actor, for example, in the level of the structure, will lead the mechanism that that produce the event in the empirical reality. So this is the purpose of the research, the retrospective research strategy, to uncover the reality. How the researcher describe and explain what's going on in the certain event, that actually the event is not exist by itself, but as the product of the relation between structure and mechanism. Okay, based on the assumption of the retroductive research strategy in my research, so we can see in this table that research strategy is retroductive, as the fundamental problem is how to arrive at structure and mechanism postulate to explain the observed regularities. Like I mentioned before, that realist ontology with its three domains of the reality, empirical, actually, and the real, and the research should uncover the relation among those three realities, the connection among them, how the event is emerged, and then how the connection between structure, mechanism, and the event. Epistemological neuralism, like of neuralism and constructivism, the logic of retroduction, the process of building hypothetical model of structure and mechanism that assume to generate social phenomena. Method case study, the investigator explore the bounded system, the case, multiple bounded system cases over the time to detail. Secondly, in-depth data collection involving multiple sources of information, such as observation, interview, as well as document and report. But in the context my research, I'm using interview and document. The third, comparative case study between two universities. Sample of study I conduct in two universities as the sample of study, the multiple site sample, UMY and UMIs. Why? Because this university rated with the Great Excellent accreditation based on the National Accreditation Institution of Indonesian Higher Education and flagship institution created by Muhammadiyah Education Council. Both universities are into different cities and provides certain units. How we what type of the data based on the Blicky? There's the type of the source of data. In the context, my data is natural social setting, meso-social phenomena, especially organization. The source data get obtained from the key informant from two universities, and then from the organizational documents from two universities. And data collection, I use the in-depth interview and documentary analysis. From the UMA, there's 15 informant, UMS, 15 informant, and Muhammadiyah 2 informants. And documentary analysis from university statutes, annual rector report, university statistic plan, institutional accreditation form, university bulletin or magazine, history of university, and catalog university, and public document also. Data analysis, first step, preparing and organizing data, reading data, coding, organizing team, and presenting them. It called as qualitative research procedure. And the last is second step, I using a retroductive analysis or critical realism analysis that consists from four steps. First one is the creation of event, identification of structure or component, theoretical redescription, and the last is retroduction. This step of the research methodology.
All right. Maybe. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
I just might sound okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good sound is okay. Before we go further, right? Let us digest what Mudzakkir has presented so far. Yeah. So this is about research. This is about research methodology. This is about retroductive research strategy, right? So what Mudzakkir has shown us, right, is that in retroductive research strategy, it is not obvious, right? The generative mechanism is not obvious. And then the challenge of retroductive research strategy is to make the generative mechanism, the causal explanation, the structures that are hidden, right, or structures that are not seen, right, structures might not be appearing empirically, right, to make it appear through the research. I think what Mudzakkir has conveyed to us is that with his research, right, Mudzakkir, he has shown that his objective is to look at how the transformation occurs, how these two universities, right, one is Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, UMY. The other one is Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta, UMS. Right? How they have transformed from the beginning until they achieve their accreditation or the recognition of excellence from the government. Yeah, so this is the whole research is about, that to capture the transformation to Muzaki can show the layers that you have shown us there. Yeah, okay, beautiful. That's good. Right, let's say yes, layers. Yeah. Um, what is this on the shared screen as well, Raji? All right. Okay. All right. What he is showing us right now, right, is that reality, according to retroductive research strategy, according to retroduction, right, exists in three layers, in three domains, right? One is the empirical, where we can see, we can measure, we can quantify, so to say, right, at the top, right, and that exists in events, right, and that's we can measure, we can look at, but the mechanism, how things are being uh, 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 are being processed, right? The whole process of leading towards the empirical data, that is not obvious, right? And what causes this process to occur, that is the real. So there's two, the structures. So in this case, this is a structuralist point of view, right? There's also the constructivist point of view. So the essence or the power or the real is oftentimes not seen, right? Just like so in my lectures, I talk about magnet, right? The power of magnet cannot be seen, right? No one has seen the power of magnet, right? No one has touched the power of magnet. No one has actually smelled the power of magnet, right? But the power magnet exists, just like veto power exists, but no one has touched veto power, no one has looked at veto power,
Like
right?
mystery.
Yeah,
Like mystery.
like mystery.
Yes.
It is.
But researcher, he must search about the mechanism.
They must
To
show,
find them and to show them.
to show them. That's right. And that's different from asking people. It's different.
Different.
Different. Abductive research strategy, for instance, is about asking what meanings people attach to a phenomena, right? For instance, right? But retroductive research strategy is to show the process of something being manifested to empirical reality, certain events, right? So that is the strength of retroductive research strategy, to demonstrate certain structures, certain powers, right? And how this power are being channeled through processes, and at the end it manifests into empirical events, right? So and that is quite a challenge, and Mutadi, your work is more or less leading towards this as well, because a lot of the powers are not seen, right? Yeah, right.
Like coding.
Yeah, like coding,
Coding
right?
and research must the solution.
Yes, yes.
The solution, construction,
Yeah,
this coding
yeah.
to appear.
Yes,
For
yeah.
why this event happened, because
Yeah.
this is mechanism.
The mechanism, yeah. So the structures, and Muzaki will demonstrate this, that there are many sources of structures, or many power base. Muzaki will explain later, right? And the interplay of the different powers, right? Different and then that forms a kind of mechanism that leads to the empirical. But
Doctor, why this is a diagram like the arrow like this up, like the arrow.
we're not going down. Because the generative mechanism is coming from bottom. So oftentimes we cannot see. So it's like you know how a car works, right? The car works with many mechanisms. There's the battery, there's the petrol, there's the engine and all that, right? Not because the wheels that move. Yeah, we can say the car moves because of the wheels that move, right? But why do the wheels move, right? There's a mechanism in the car that makes it move, right? So and we want to know, you know, what causes it to move, right? And then it cannot be explained just by, well, because the wheels move, the car move. It's much more complicated and much more complex. So and especially if we talk about um, organizations, right? And we talk about big organizations like universities, for instance, right? The structures are even more complex. And Mudzakkir will talk about the different structures interacting with the external structures as well, right? So this is the challenge, but also the strength of retroductive research strategy.
Yes.
And the difficulty, the toughness. Yeah, yeah.
My question, sorry, Doctor. How can the researcher find the data?
Yeah. And what data should he find?
Yes.
Right? What is the relevant data? Right. So that's why in retroductive research strategy, it doesn't matter whether you start with data or theory. It doesn't matter because what we're interested in is the model, right? So you can start with the data, or you can start with theory, or you can start, you know, dialectically. Well, usually it's dialectical, of course, right? So it's a tough strategy, research strategy. It's a tough one, but very bold, very brave as well. And it claims to be a research strategy that reflects both science and non-sciences, science and social sciences. So in a way, it's a you know, it's a powerful research strategy in that sense. So I will go back to Mudzakkir, and as Mudzakkir will continue. From time to time, I will come in and we will, you know.
I think that's questions, yeah?
Mhm.
From the. Actually, this is the ideal type.
Ideal type.
Ideal
Yeah,
type.
yeah.
The
Ideal
we
type.
can see that the what called this one.
The
Even
arrows up.
The arrows.
the arrow could be up, from bottom to up,
Yeah.
even from bottom from up to bottom. In the reality, the empirical could impact on the mechanism that lead to the structure. So sometimes might be in the certain theory could be as structuration. So that's why, like Prof. Riff told me that retrospective could be in certain degree, yeah, the similarity with this structuration that popularized by the Anthony Giddens.
Structuration theory, yeah.
Thank you for talking. Actually, from the, like you question, from what kind of data in my relationship? Actually, my data collection using to type technique. From an in-depth interview, I interview key informer in the two universities. And second one is documentary analysis. You can see in the table, the first one is University Statute, annually rector report, University Strategic Plan, Institutional Accreditation Form, University Bulletin.
Okay, can you make it? Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Zoom.
As in turn on the
This one.
yeah.
Yes.
Fortunately, I can access this data. If I could not access data, so it's very difficult me.
Yes.
Difficult me to describe and to explain what's going on in those the transformation into universities.
Let me show the parallel with the science, the natural science. if you're describing photosynthesis, how plants make energy, right? You can never touch what photosynthesis, right? The process of how plants make to transform the solar energy, the water, all kinds of energy into how it grows into, and then at the end you have carbon oxygen being released, right? You cannot see that.
Can see that.
Cannot. There's no way you can see that. But you need to have a model to capture the reality, right? To show how the process works, and you can prove that the process works through empirical data. But no one has seen photosynthesis. Right? No one has seen it. But you can construct a model to demonstrate that it exists, right? And you can show, look, without the sun, there is no photosynthesis, right? Because there's no photo in synthesis. Photosynthesis requires the sun. So the sun is one of the generative mechanism of photosynthesis, right? You can talk about that, right? So, and in a way, that's what retroductive research strategy is about: is to capture different parts of empirical data, right? That exist. But might not be evident to us, right? And sometimes this empirical data itself is not the real or the generative mechanism. It is a reflection of the generative mechanism. Just like when we talk about power, you cannot see power, but you can see manifestation of the power. So that's another example. We can look at what this whole thing, right? Of retroductive research strategy is about. If it's in the real science, no, it's not real, natural science, natural science.
So there is the okay, thank you. Which might be the real science also. Regarding the model, actually, before I went to collect the data. Actually, I proposed to hypothetical model, but in process, one model actually more appropriate than another one. So this is one hypothetical model that I proposed to explain the key event or especially in the context of organizational transformation in both universities. We can see in this hypothetical model actually previously I had two model, but when I was conducting the research and then collecting data and then analyzes the data, I just said that this hypothetical model tend to what the close to describe to explain the organizational transformation in both universities.
Now, pause right there. That's actually a very important point. Yeah? What's the important? The model construction. So retroductive research strategy is about that rapid redoing of the model construction. So like you say, you have model, you're collecting the data, testing the data, whether it can work or not into the model, and eventually through this reiterative process, right? Yeah, and then you improve the model, and then you see you might have 2 or 3 alternative models, right? And then you see, well, A, B, C comes closest to it, and when C doesn't explain well, and you keep on improving. So this is the challenge of retroductive research strategy: is building a model that explains the phenomena, right? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I'm not writing all this process completely, sir.
Okay.
But actually, I did.
Yes.
I did. I think you know you know well. Before when I present the proposal and then in finding presentation also, and then I decided in just using this hypothetical model.
Yes.
Thank you. This one. The next is data analysis. Actually, I using before I decide which the crucial or strategic event. Actually, I using the qualitative research procedure like the other research technique. But then actually this is first step, and second step is I using critical realism analysis or retroductive analysis. When I studied, when I search literature, many critical realist experts offer several step of analysis. For certain expert, they offer seven step analysis. The other one just 3-step analysis. Then I decide the 4 step of analysis because I think this in the middle among them. Khairul umuri awsatu. Lain itu tadi saya itu. Because it's stable, I mean it's stable.
I'm glad Mudzakkir you raised this point, and this is for you all who are pursuing the research, right? That is where research like this is challenging, because you find in all the research strategies, in fact, practically all the methodology, different experts, different theories, different methodologies will offer different steps, right? So part of being a researcher, part of carrying out research is to find the most suitable ones, or sometimes to innovate on the prescription given to you. So sometimes people ask me, okay, give me the step 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it is not as simple as that. That is the process of being a researcher, is to find the best possible process for you as well. So that is another part of carrying out research, postgraduate research at this level. So and that makes you much more a mature researcher by understanding it at that level, and to understand the variety of knowledge that is being presented to you, and to make that decision which one is the good one, which one is more suited to you, or whether you need to innovate further. If you innovate further, you will need to, of course, justify. And one of the contributions in a PhD that you can note, right, which is a good point, Mudzakkir, is methodological contribution. If there is an original methodological contribution you're making, you can make that as part of your novelty of your PhD, because no one has carried out the way you have carried out the research to study that particular field or the particular subject. So that can be contributions. Yeah. So one of the vacuums of literature, methodological gap. That's right, methodological gap, which is not easy as well. It's not, it's not easy as well. And oftentimes people seldom talk about methodological contribution, but it is a very good contribution to make, because sometimes by changing the methodology or combining methodology, you see different realities emerging, and that's the beauty of social sciences, right? Because reality is not not physical, is multiple dimensions, right? So and then if it's like, so methodology is like different lenses, different microscope, but
Dr. Haim, Dr. Haim, when he explained about society, he said the society outside us, maybe some individual, not society, but the individual and the customs, traditional organization, collective, all together, this is society. So the society not physical, some event or some behavior we can't capture. Because this is maybe outside us.
Yes.
We need some ways to access to this behavior, like the This is strategy.
Yes,
It's a strategy when the Mudzakkir talk about it now.
To access that. Yes, it's not.
Because
Yeah.
the society not obvious.
No, not obvious.
Always.
No, not always obvious. That's true. Yes. Yeah.
Frankly speaking, this is part that make me frustrated also.
Makes you what?
Frustrated also.
Frustrated
And I
inside.
said to Mbak Iqbal,
Be frustrated as well. Yeah.
And finally, after combine several options, and then I decided, I think, I use this type of the analysis.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, we should
We,
Yes.
Strategy one.
Language is one way to access, right?
Yes.
Observation is another way to access. There's so many different ways to access. The social way is too big, too large. It's like to go deep, to go wide.
It's open.
It's open. Yeah. Continue, Mudzakkir.
Okay, thank you. This retroductive analysis. The first one is a description event. So before the description event, of course, we should have the data that are related with the event. So, like I said before, there is the data that I collect from the organizational document, also from the interview, especially from the key informant, and then I actually before it, I using the qualitative procedure to as part of the reduction data, and what are the key event that emerging from the process of the process organizational that the event that most prominent actually that impact to all to all the event. So from this the process, I found several key event in two universities. Yeah. From this part is description of event, and then second one is identification of structure and component. It describes the structure, how the event in social structure, why the event emerged in a certain context, and what are the actors that participate and contributed in this key event. What are the relation among them in this the part identification of structure and the component. Structure it may related with the objective condition, and component related with the social actor in those the context. And third one is abduction or the theoretical redescription. How how I describe it using certain theory that that in this research we sorry. Yeah, this one. This interpreting the data and also called theoretical description or abduction. In other words, searching for different theoretical perspective and different explanation of the phenomena. Theories for using the abduction step of the process may be theories for key events that a structure key event that can help researchers to increase the theoretical understanding of the case, giving the understanding of the causal structure and event in the case as preparation for step 4.
Okay, let's pause for a while because this is almost the essence of the essence of retroductive research strategy, right? So you noted that identify events, but then not just events, but also key events. So you're not you're not just interested about people coming to work, clock in, coming out, so normal operations. You want to see some pivotal, some events that are key that have created significant changes to the organization.
All the transformation.
Yes, yeah, that general
Point.
starting point maybe, yes, starting point or a strengthening point maybe also, right? So this is the a challenge for researcher to know to identify certain events. So the event can be a crisis, or the event can be a leadership change. Event can be some investment that come in. So events in retroductive research strategy is actually important. So the researcher cannot have normal survey template, agree strongly. You cannot identify events that way. Yeah, you got to use your brain, you got to use understanding to see the importance of events, how events have changed things, right? So if you go in a very inductive way, you cannot see retroductive reality, right? Yeah. So that the key events is actually important. The second part, the structure is equally important because we are looking at the what you can call the power relations between entities or events, right? So how one influences the other or one leads to other. So that's the structure there, right?
Or the actor combat each other.
Or the actors?
The actor, yeah. I mean, the compete each other also.
Yes.
Can produce
Can produce.
certain event also.
That's right. The competition or the conflicting.
The conflict.
Yes. Can also. So that is the structure part. So can you go to the adduction again, Mudzakkir, and then retroduction?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Is the sound okay, Raji? Yes. Inshallah, okay. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about, you were talking about the point number 3 just now, right? No, not slide. Point number 3. Yeah, you're on the right slide already. Yeah. Slide again.
Zoom. Okay.
It's in.
Actually, this step 3, how the researcher using the certain theory to understanding the event and the structure. How event can be how event emerge as the causal of interaction in level of the structure and the component.
It's causal now.
Causal, yes.
Causal now.
Cause and effect. The theoretical description, looking at the relation, the interaction, the structure component, and the event using the theoretical perspective. Yeah. And the last point is
Your theory comes in here.
Come here. Using the first one is just describe the reality. Could be like in certain degree, like maybe the adaptive also. Because how we know the certain event is the key event? Key event. We should doing interview and matching with the documentary analysis. What the informant said is connected with the document. Oh, that's true. So we of course we decide in certain degree. I would say the retroductive when we're looking at the plain key, the researcher stance, I would say as the expert outset.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yes.
It's true. Yes. Because last time there is the question for certain promovendus. What is your position as the researcher? Insider, outsider, the expert, or learner? So when I using the retrospective, I would say and as outsider and as expert.
Yeah.
But my objective could be different. Objective as the learner.
You can say that.
The position researcher. When we're looking at the Blakey, the state position.
True, yeah. So in retroductive research strategy, the burden of theoretical application is on the researcher. Researcher would choose. Researcher would choose, right? What theory to use or what theory to create. So the researcher can create his or her own or their theories, right? That they can do that. Whereas abductive research assume much back. Abductive. Abductive says, no, we do not create our theories. We let the data
choose.
Yeah, social actors will tell us what the theories are. So we create understanding of the world from their point of view. Retroductive, no. Retroductive say, well, let's see what theory fits well with this, right? And in fact, I would not just one theory. I might use 2 theories, 3 theories, and see combination of theories, or I can create my own theories, right? So retroductive is somewhat different, but so retroductive research strategies and you're right, the relationship is you can say an outsider. I suppose you can be an insider, but the point about expert is actually the more important point. You need to have theoretical knowledge to put together all the things together, right?
So what is the appropriate when examiner asks about the standpoint of the literature? Because the breakout, there is also the part that discuss about this. And last time when I when I attending the FIFA, also there is the examiner asked about this method.
We were talking about thesis defense. There's a different section, but well, I can give you a quick one here. Right? Well, he said based on what so and so says, Norman Baker says, he says it's 1 and 2, right? What I can see is this. I go in because I'm like this, so I'm insider or I'm outsider or I'm both insider, outsider. You can say that. So that's just my point of view. You know, as you can say that. But if you can say, I'm not very sure which I'm insider or outsider, but this is the result I get as you know as a student of PhD. So there are many ways of answering that. As long as your tone is humble, your tone, you know what I mean. Your tone is not it's fine, and it's not tone of ignorance. You do not want to be ignorant as well, right? So especially for retroductive research strategy, do not want to say that you want to show actually to demonstrate that a good set of theories to look at the phenomena or the subject you're studying, right? So that's about the stance of the researcher, expert, insider, outsider. So if you say outsider, so if you're insider, you cannot use your retroductive research strategy, question mark a bit, right? You can still use, right?
But the examiner know about maybe they have different references.
They do have different references, yeah.
Not as sure all the examiner know about some reference that we use.
Yes. So we just state that but we'll talk about thesis defense different. That will be the next session about strategy during the Viva. This is one of my methodology first. Okay. Okay, go continue.
Sorry, you may use your audio device.
Okay. The last step is retroduction or identification and selection of candidate mechanism. The fourth step, the key epistemological process, retroduction, is a meta process, the outcome of which is the identification of mechanism that explain what causes the event to occur. According to Aristotle and Mudzakkir, step 4 is the most crucial step in the critical realism process. One researcher describes the event in step 1 and reveal the deeper causal structure in the step 3. The next step 4 is to hypothesize the mechanism and the condition that might have triggered and the generation of the event. So the
in retroductive analysis, actually, we can formulate that what's called the result plus the plus result and the process and equal cause. The cause is in the in the lid of the process. I mean, yeah, because like the iceberg. So the empirical process is in the top of the reality. So the last so the retroduction task is how to explain the process from the bottom reality, in the middle, and the top, that how to connect the process, the mechanism and condition that that cause in certain event in the reality. That's point of in the last process of the retroduction. So the researcher can pull from their possibility of the mechanism that appear in the process, but then the researcher can to set which the most important mechanism that operate in certain event. So this is the last part in this step of retroductive analysis. We can based on my research, I found 5 key event in transformation of UMY, and every key event has a 4 step. So in this process, I must doing analysis for 5 key event using this step of the retroductive analysis. For example, this one. Actually this the resume of the analysis. This is the result of the analysis. Where I can show you in the real thesis. For example, this one. Sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. I want to share first one, right? Sorry. Okay. Stop sharing first, yeah. Yeah. So, which one? Oh, you want to take from your thesis? Yes, sir. Which one, sir? Stop sharing. Okay, and then I share this one. Okay. Oh, okay. We can see that every key event, there are 4 steps. First one is description of event. Second one, identification of structure. And third one is theoretical description. And last one is retroduction or identification of mechanism. This one. For example, third key event in UMS organizational transformation. First one, I describe the key event. This one. Describe the event. I'm not using the theoretical perspective first, because this the data from interview, from the documentary, I describe as I describe as the phenomena. And second one, identification of structure. In this part, I describe the structure and the actor that interact in this event. This one, the component of the event. and the theoretical description are using certain theory to describe this this event. For example, are using in this part institutional accreditation are using the institutional theory, how the university institutionalize the accreditation what we call the accreditation norm in higher education institutionalized by UMS in the organ as part of the what we call the norm of the university university practice is what using such as what you can see the the I refer to the Scots, the institutionalization, there's the normative, regulative, and then cognitive, symbolic, how the accreditation institutionalized in university practice. This one using the theoretical perspective. And the last one, retroduction. Identification of the mechanism that lead the university to absorb to internalize accreditation as the what you call the obligation as university, as part of the obligation university. I described this one, the retroduction. They are in the context, they emerge the several mechanism, for example, institutional entrepreneurship mechanism, regulative mechanism, normative mechanism, cultural cognitive mechanism. From the hypothetical model, I use hypothetical model to contextualize I using hypothetical model to explain the event in every key event using hypothetical model that I apply in the first research methodology. So we can see in this part, for example, this the result. Like I said before that the top of the reality, I mean the empirical reality, this one is an outcome, but I add with emergence Prof asked me what the emergence, what called I mean that the empirical, but there is the actual reality that people can see they even thought, even thinking deeply about the reality. I mean, the emergence. Miracle is I decided, but this yeah, this I try to using to eat to eat with at certain term in this in my finding especially. Yeah. We can see that for example, the emergent reputable university with accreditation. So the question, so the retrospective question is, how come the university could obtain this position? So the researcher is the answer by doing research to answer this question. This reputable university, because there is the empirical, we can see, because the university upload the institutional quality and accreditation preparation, the contact, why they doing the why they institutionalize, what are the causal mechanism that drive the university adopt what called adopt the certain part. So from this the event, I found there are several mechanisms. For example, institutional interpretation mechanism, because before the government enact this regulation, this university already established the accreditation institution to institutionalize the accreditation and quality insurance. And then I would say this is the internal mechanism, because before the objective regulation enacted by the government, they already proposed this what you call the quality insurance process. So I describe in this part as the institutional entrepreneurship. Yeah, this what I found in my key event. And listen.
Point out a couple of things here, I guess.
Yeah.
This is where the theories are closely applied.
Clear, yeah.
Yeah, very, you go very theoretical here, right? So now, if someone were to ask, right, so you do not have theories at the beginning, well, the answer to retroductive research strategy, yes, you have. In fact, you have theories all along, right? But you are not. Retroductive research strategy is special in that sense that it is bound, but it's not bound by theory. So it is informed by theory, right? You can collect data that's being prescribed by theories, right? But you are not here to prove a theory, like deductive research strategy, right? Deductive research strategy is about taking a theory, testing the theory, and eventually, in a way, prove or falsify a particular theory, right? Or set of theories, rather. But for retroductive research strategy, that's not the purpose. The purpose is actually to find the causal explanation, to develop a model of explanation. So the theories are applied throughout the process, so to say, but it becomes very obvious at this stage, right? So the terminologies will come up even more. So like you use the word institutional entrepreneurship, institutional theories and all that. So this is where it becomes very much more obvious, right? But in the process, the concepts of theories can be applied earlier on in terms of data collection and all that, but it's not bound by the theory or theories, right? So and to that extent, it is driven by both the social actors as well as the researchers. So if the social actors point the researcher towards a certain direction to say that, well, that's an important event, right? Or that's an important process. So the researcher will go and say, well, what's this process or what is the event, right? Or the researcher himself or herself think, well, this is something interesting, although it's not being highlighted, but I discovered in the document. So I'm going to research on this part of the organization. So you will look for this part as a causal explanation. So in a way, it's almost like investigative journalism, almost like that as well, right? Right, investigative journalism, because you're exposing, in a way, it's exposing, right? Exposing the underlying story, right? It's an expose, yeah, it's an expose. So yeah, but it's a very scientific expose, yeah, right? With a whole process, a whole scientific explanation behind it. Okay, so that's the part of theory that I thought it's important to take note there as well as in retroductive research strategy. Continue, Mudzakkir. Yeah. Continue on. Yeah.
Okay, this how to contextualize the step of the retrospective analysis strategy. All of the part of the key event also using these 4 steps. Yeah. So after all the key event I described, I analyze this using the 4 steps, and the last is to compare. To compare.
It's hard for us to see because it's too small. So
small,
it's like only you can see it. I cannot see it. Anyways, it's okay, but well, that's too big. It's okay. Maybe you want to go back to your slides, maybe.
Okay, guys. Yeah.
Oh, you still want to use your thesis? Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, much more.
Okay, I stop first. Yeah. Okay, this one. So, every key event. Oh, okay. Sorry. So this one is, for example, second key event in the UMY are using the also the hypothetical model to describe all the key event. That's important point that what Prof. Rif conveyed to me, that the task of retroductive is not just only the focus on the to describe the theory, but the process, all the how the mechanism is processing the event, how the structure, interaction between structure, event, even the content of the event.
Yes.
Okay, that's thank you, Prof. Let's not focus on the actual.
Reserve. So sometimes people talk about an example, Cuba, right? Why communist model doesn't work and all that. I'm not promoting communist model here, okay, but I'm just explaining one example, right? Cuba has good healthcare system and all that. Look at compared with the rest of the Latin American countries, Cuba is among the best. In fact, some say even better than US, right? But why is the people are still poor and all? Well, Cuba has been under US sanctions for a long time, since what, JFK, since Kennedy or after Kennedy, right? So there's something blocking Cuba, right, from advancing, right? So likewise, we can talk about Japan, Taiwan, South Korea. One of the big spurring mechanism that makes all these big economies work is United States. United States buy products from Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea, right? It's a big market, big market, right? So, and I remember that. I remember my supervisor. Right? He wrote about sociology of global system. He talks about when people explain the internal dynamics, they forgot about the external dynamics, and external dynamics is actually equally important, right? So, like you said, so like in Middle East, there's the Iran
For
factor.
example, we have oil and we have a river, we have good earth,
Yes, yes.
but we and development.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
We have mechanism,
Yeah.
but don't
Don't
development us.
Yes.
Why? Because corruption is the one block.
This one block, yeah. Internal.
Terrorism.
Internal.
Yeah. Political conflict.
Yeah.
Third one, and also the occupation.
Occupation, yes.
For example.
Yeah.
So we have
Yeah.
a mechanism,
Yeah.
but the block may be internal and or external.
Yes.
Block this mechanism.
Yes. So now reproductive research strategy can expose this. Can expose this. So
In the case of the UMY also, this about the internationalization.
yes.
To what university, they adopt the international because of the external forces.
Yes.
External forces. In the case also in my finding.
Yes.
Especially in the event. For example, how the university adapt and imitate the internationalization. Yeah, because there is intercourse. That's what we call the field, of the higher education. That there is tendency for the university imitate all the university that successful. So they call the external forces
Yeah.
in this the context.
Yes.
So this relate with the assumption of the ontological assumption of the critical realism of retroductive, that the reality not only in the way in subjective reality, but also in external subject, even the nature of human. Yeah. Jadi, sorry. So even the reality, even we are not experienced with the reality, but they impact on our life. That's what we call another reality.
Yes.
In this context, there is the assumption in the critical realism as the ontological standpoint of retrospective research strategy. Yeah, this point.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Continue, please. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think all of the findings, but I think the result of the retrospective analysis. Every key event, I use same step of the retrospective analysis. This one. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think
Yeah.
You're
done. You're done.
done.
Okay. Can you show your the model again, the model that you have actually developed from the you have the models now. That one, yeah. Okay, that's your hypothetical model. Can you enlarge it again? Okay, good. So this is the outcome of the whole research, right? You can see, they have the real. Can you just explain one more time, Mudzakkir, if in just 2 or 3 minutes?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned before, that this research has the critical realism assumption that what they call the philosophical assumption for the retrospective research strategy, that reality consists of 3 layers. The first one is the real, the second one is actual, and the third one is empirical. So we can see that the real as the real consists of the structure. We can see that there is the government, Muhammadiyah Education, Badan Akreditasi Nasional Perguruan Tinggi, Lokal Muhammadiyah. This is the entity as part of the structure. They interact each other, and then they produce what we call the mechanism that emerges in the actual reality. And the actual reality, that is the context. The context are, we can see the power interaction related regarding leadership, governance, academic staff development, accreditation, internationalization, business universities. Actually, this is all part of the key event there. And then the interaction in the context emerges in the top layer, the empirical, and then this key event that helped me to understanding how the university can lead to organizational transformation. So the event is, I think, the context, generative mechanism that produce in the structure level, and then in generative mechanism in certain context, what we call produce the event in the empirical reality. All of the empirical reality then manifests in the what you call the, I would say that the symbolic, maybe the manifestation as the construction from the empirical reality. I call the manifestation. That's all.
Yes, yes. Thank you. All right, good. So I see the retroductive research strategy eventually leads to our understanding that the real is unseen. Yeah, the real is unseen, right? Because we cannot see the real, and the powers are often are not seen. Some we can, but a lot we cannot see. So the idea is to make to expose these powers and how these powers play out, and then eventually has manifestation to the powers, right? So and that is actually the biggest challenge of social scientists according to retroductive research strategy. Social scientists work is actually to come up with a causal explanation, a model of causal explanation, right? It's not just like if you listen to my lecture, it's not just about independent variable, dependent variable. It's just too shallow for retroductive research strategy. You know, the independent variable A and the variable B, C, that's too shallow. It's too not deep enough. So this is deeper according to retroductive research strategy, right? So and it is much more telling. It's much more revealing. It's much more insightful, right? But it's much more difficult to carry out, of course. It's much more difficult, right? So, however, that said, retroductive research strategy is a strategy, if I can remind you again, that that the entry point, unlike inductive or deductive, right? Or for that matter, abductive, it doesn't have an entry point. It doesn't matter where you start. Right? So you can start with theory, you can start with data, you can start wherever you want to start, but eventually, wherever you start, you end up with a model to explain it, right? So, the other part to it is that the identification of entities are important, right? The real entities, right? So that is an important part, and then to look how in these entities form into certain dynamics, which becomes the process, right? And then from there we see the manifestation coming out, right? So if you look at the what is it? A photosynthesis again, water will be an entity, the sun will be an entity, the seed can be an entity, right?
The leaf also.
The leaf, right? The leaves entity. So how do all this entity come together through a certain process, right? And so that you describe the process, and then eventually, at the end, you have oxygen coming out. You have the growth, and the whole thing is called photosynthesis, right? So the model is called photosynthesis. Right? It depends on what you're describing, of course. Yeah, describing for a country, you can describe a democracy. You can describe a transformation. You can describe whatever you want to describe, right? So it's usually a big description. It's not a small description. So but the retroductive research strategy can also be applied to something that is not grand scale like a big organization, university. It can be described through a family institution, right? How family can lead to a breakup. What are the forces at work within the family? You can look at how a person become radicalized, right? You can look at that as well. So retroductive research strategy can look at different unit of analysis as well. So not just big unit analysis, it can look at small unit analysis as well. So it is a powerful research strategy, right? And the philosophy is scientific realism. So it claims to be scientific, right? And it looks at something that's real. So it's not just so interesting. This research strategy says that what you touch might not be the most important thing. What you can touch and feel, that's not the most important thing. What's important is to see how what you touch, you see, becomes what you see, what you touch, right? That's actually more important. So it's important. So it is a research strategy that is very deep, very strong, very bold in that sense, right? Okay. Any last thoughts? Any last comments? Maybe anyone want to have any question about this research strategy? We can have a couple more minutes to discuss this research strategy, this retroductive research strategy. Anyone from the if there's none, then we will go to the next presentation. No? All right. Okay, so we will have another one after this. Rajiv, you can what is it? Stop and then start on new one. Okay. All right. We will take a 3-minute break and then not a long break, a 3-minute break, and then we'll start with the next presentation by Chao Lei. Chao Lei, are you ready? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Good.
I'm right.
We'll start in 3 minutes time, right? Take a short break. Come back. Thank you. Good job. Tahniah. Tahniah is Arabic, right? It's Arabic, right?